Hello again everybody, and welcome to the Red Flag 16-2 campaign in the A-10C Warthog. And just like the F-15 campaign that I'm also flying at the same time, this is a 10-mission campaign representing the Red Flag exercise at Nellis Air Force Base, with the main difference being that we're, instead of an F-15 unit, an A-10 unit out of Davis Monthan Air Force Base. So instead of going over the entire overview and getting into a discussion of Red Flag and the scenario that we're up against right here, I have a link in the video description to the first video of the F-15 campaign that has all that information and gives you some good background if you, for whatever reason, aren't watching the F-15 campaign. So let me jump straight into the mission briefing for mission number 1. We're going to be deploying 12 aircraft out of Davis Monthan, of which I'll be the flight lead of one of these 4 ships. So we can see on the map we're coming from south to north and just recovering in Nellis Air Force Base. This should be fairly simple. Now I'm going to, again, skip a lot of this stuff that we've already been over in the F-15 campaign about the overall situation, but we are part of the 354th Fighter Squadron, and for the duration of the Red Flag, our squadron is going to be assigned the call sign of Hog. And of course, as an A-10 unit, we are going to be doing close air support, ground attack, and just whatever the mission designers decide to throw at us, so it's going to be a very different experience from what we've seen from the F-15 campaign so far, but the play area and the overall threat is going to be the same, with a combination of long range and short range surface-to-air missiles. I expect some AAA to show up, anti-aircraft artillery, and then of course the air threat of Sukhoi 27s and MiG-29s are going to be what we're up against. So there's going to be a lot more of relying on the other flights within our strike packages to take care of that air threat and to suppress the enemy air defenses so that we can get in, do our thing as far as the ground attack, and then get out. But for this mission, it's just the recovery and arrival at Nellis. So we're going to transit to the north, hit the landmark called Apex, turn left, and then land. And if I go to the lineup card, I can see that it's a morning mission. My flight frequency is 251 megahertz UHF, and since this mission is going to be starting in the air, arriving in the area, that's about all I need to go over here. I'm going to go through everything a couple more times on my own just to make sure that I don't miss anything and that I'm ready to fly it. But in either case, I'll see you in the air. Okay, so while I'm paused and I'm getting my trim under control, I'm just going to steady myself here, engage the autopilot, and get a little situational awareness going. Okay, so I've got 4 aircraft in front of me.
Fox, we're 30 miles southeast of Las Vegas on our first Nellis. Our current steering from Boulder City Warthog at 116.7. After we pass Boulder City, we continue to steer point 2. Final approach heading to Nellis.
Okay, gotcha. So just as briefed, we're starting in the air south of Nellis and pretty close. We've got Nellis and Las Vegas out there just off our nose to the left. We have Lake Mead and the Hoover Dam right down here below us. And okay, so I got that as, yeah, just straight ahead and then a left-hand turn over the Apex landmark at steer point 2 for straight into Nellis. And I have 12 aircraft, 4 of them in front of me, and I can see them out there. I've got my flag right here, and I've got 4 more aircraft. I can see 3 of them out there behind me. The other one is directly behind me. Okay, yeah, that'll work. So let me pull the throttle in just a bit since I'm gaining on the aircraft in front of me right here, and let me get my cockpit squared away. Okay, I can go master arm safe, gun pack, laser arm. I can go targeting pod off since I'm not going to use it at all on this mission. In fact, I can even turn off the countermeasure system since I'm not going to use it, and go from there. Now we go to flight plan, make this manual so it doesn't automatically step through steer points on me. And we have 17 miles to go to Boulder City, and that's right down there below us. And a good view of the Hoover Dam coming up. It's right there. We've got the, well, I call it the new bridge. It's been open for a few years now, and the dam right in back of it.
For those of you that are not taking part in Red Flag this week, we're pretty exhausted, but have some fuel reserves for the weekend. Last year we rented a party bus and hit some of those popular casinos. Don't overdo it though, or your Monday's sortie will be pretty miserable.
Yeah, right on. So Hoover Dam, then back along the Colorado River to, I forget the name of the town, like the next bridge down, but it's another one of those interesting drives if you're ever in the Vegas area. These dry lakes that we see down here to our left, we have the solar farm down there, and it's a popular location for, oh, what do you call it? It's the land sailing? I think that's what you call it. It's with the wind out there in the dry lake, it's a perfect spot for it. Okay, so the flight in front of us has dipped down a little bit, so let me go ahead and get my trim under control a little bit. In fact, I can go ahead and step up to steer point 2. This will be Apex right out here in front of us, so we'll just have that up as a reference as I continue to just visually fly a bit of a formation here off of this flight in front of us. As we get a very nice view of Lake Mead from right here.
Hogs, change steering, steer point 2, maintain formation. Off my left wing, you can see Sin City. Off my right wing, let's go down again.
Okay, you got it. I'm already on steer point 2. Lake Mead to the right again, and Vegas out there, Henderson, Nevada, right down here below us. Las Vegas and the, oh, what is it? Yeah, the McCarran International Airport right there. So I can bring it around to the right a little bit. I'm just in a little bit of a trail formation on the lead of the forest ship in front of us. And let me roll out right there, and I'll just engage the autopilot. Still got my flight right there and the 4 aircraft in back of us. Okay, let me start thinking about getting recovered here. Let me go ahead and go to 125 on VHF AM. So let's go F5 for A-10C and then Nellis inbound. And while we're getting that call, let me go ahead and bring the checklist up, and I'll go through the descent before landing. Okay, you got it. 356 for 16. That's the direction we're going. Yeah, that's right up there at that steer point. Okay, so let's go ahead and give our altimeter a check. We are going to get an altimeter call. Yeah, right there, 2806. I'll just take it as good. Aggie HARS compare. So what we're going to do is just put it into the HARS mode. Compare the attitude references and the heading that I get here with putting it back into the Aggie mode, and they do compare very, very favorably, and I'll re-engage my EAC. Okay, next, canopy defog control and windshield defog anti-ice is required. I'll leave those as is. Anti-skid switch, verified and anti-skid. I've got my landing lights as required. Got those on for when I get the gear down. I'm going to peek up to make sure that I'm not flying into these guys in front of me. That's just fine. Night vision switch as required. Landing lights, got it. Fuel quantity, check. Yeah, down to about 2,400. It was a short flight. It would have been no more than, what, about 30, 45 minutes, if that, coming up here from Tucson. Yeah, about that in the A-10, I guess. So that's just fine. Now, HUD indicated airspeed displayed. Got it. NVG's removing stow. And then gear down once we're set up on an actual approach here. Okay, and then we go into the after landing. So that's all that I need for now. And I can just fly the rest of this visually from here on out. So I will...
Hogs off my left wing at Nellis. We'll continue flying north until we reach our final approach intercept. Nellis TACVIEW is on 12X.
Okay, gotcha. So we got the Nellis TACVIEW on 12X. I so rarely play with the TACVIEW. I'll tune it in real quick. I've got to transmit, receive, and 12 X-ray is the channel. Transmit, receive, and now if I go to the TACVIEW mode, now I have a pointer and a distance off to my left, due west at about 7.5 miles, which is exactly where Nellis is. So we have Nellis and the Nellis bomb dump right here. Of course, the Las Vegas Speedway that we're familiar with by now on the Nevada terrain. And 7 miles to Apex, and then it's just a left-hand turn. And that's the Morse code for the Nellis TACVIEW. I'll turn that down. Yeah, that's fine. Now let me go to UHF, and I'll go ahead and have my flight RTB. So flight, and in the A-10, boy, if there was one thing that I would think would be standard aircraft to aircraft, it would be the comms menu. But yeah, in the A-10, it's wherever I just went, and then it's F2 to RTB. And that'll just have them stack in behind me. And I was wanting to hit this at about 4,500 feet, and that would set me up for a good sort of a glide slope, so I will put it into a bit of a steeper descent, so I've still got the 4 ship in front of me in view. And that's Ford 4 calling on station. F-15's up there in the distance, and I see these guys turning left on their approach. Okay, very good. So I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and go speed brakes out. I'll keep an eye on these guys and see where they go, and I'll just sort of follow them. Now go gear down and flaps down. Yep, sounds good. Already there. So yeah, I'm just going to take it on around here. I've got good separation between the guys in back of me and the guys in front of me. I think they're just going to do their own thing from here on out. Okay, so let me push my throttles on up and get a little bit of a shallower descent going. Yeah, it rolled out about right, I guess, and I'll keep it on this path until I'm perfectly lined up. And I also need to come on down. Yeah, I did come in a little bit too high at Apex, I suppose. Okay, 154 Yeah, this will work out just fine, just as is. And I see that we have the civilian road traffic back, so I have a lot of trucks down there on I-15 and, oh, whatever this road is, or whatever the actual number is, coming by the speedway. Okay, so this will work out. I'll just keep the velocity vector down low just a little bit longer. I want about 2.5, 3 degrees for a glide path, and that's about 3 degrees right there, so I can bring the nose on up. And from here on in, I'm just going to be paying attention to the AOA indexer, so I want to keep it like it is right now with that ball, the green ball, illuminated. So I just need to throttle up to bring the velocity vector back up, and I'll manipulate the trim. And anytime I see the light come down, like down there, I just need to get a little bit less AOA, or actually a little bit more AOA. So I want to increase the angle between my velocity vector and where my nose is pointing to bring the nose up a little bit, and that puts me on just the perfect speed for an approach. And then just using the throttle, I just basically manipulate the throttle to keep my velocity vector and keep my AOA where I want it on the approach. Okay, sounds good. Let's go ahead and request landing. I need to be on VHF AM and request landing.
Request landing.
You have so much more time in the A-10 to figure this stuff out. It feels like I'm just floating in the air compared to the F-15 and the Mirage that I've been flying lately. Okay, so that's clear to land. I'm going to go ahead and ditch the comms menu. I'll just continue on in here. Okay, and this time, instead of turning right up to the red flag ramp, I'm going to turn left and come over here to the LOLA, live ordnance loading area. It's just one of the live load areas that is very common to see A-10s parked, and I'll get into that once we're taxiing around there. Let me concentrate on the approach here. So I've got this set up about right. I just want to flare to cut into my descent a little bit. Right about now, I can also pull the throttles in. Set her down. Did I really bounce that? My goodness. Okay. So let's go ahead and go full out on the speed brakes. And the nose is going to come on down since I'm down to about 85 knots. And yeah, full out on the speed brakes, and I'm just going to let it roll out. I've got plenty of runway, and yeah, 6,000 feet remaining. I'm not even going to probably have to get on the brakes at all. I'm just going to take it out to the end of the runway and turn left. And we have the F-15s out there on the ramp. I can see, well, I guess that's about all that has made it in. I guess the F-18s and the F-16s are still coming in. I'll make sure that I engage the nose wheel steering. Now I can get on the brakes very lightly from here on in, and then just take it on around here, and I'll pull into the Alpha East EOR on the other side of the next runway and run through the rest of the checklist for after clearing the runway. Okay, and there's mission success, so that's all that I have to do. I am going to taxi it on around there to the Lola coming up, as I'm going to cross runway 03 right here. Yeah, I'm clear. Nothing coming at me here. Now just pull into Alpha East, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in and then park opposite Las Vegas and opposite the golf course. That's actually a T right there. And just generally you would want to park your aircraft in the safest possible direction. So with the gun like I have on an A-10, typically I have rockets or HM65s, forward firing munitions. So yeah, in this case I would come out here to Alpha East and face sort of into the airfield. I'll just stack into the last spot here. And let the D-Arm crew do their thing. Okay, let me go ahead and bring up my checklist, and let's see, after landing, I've already got all that done. Anti-skid, let's go off on the anti-skid. Let's go seat safe, and I'll acknowledge the master caution, and I need to go canopy as desired. Okay, CTVS can go off, and I can go to TAC-IR ILS off. I did turn my TAC-IR on, so I can go ahead and secure it. So that is off. IFFCC, bit fault display, record, and just for the heck of it, since I'm kind of in the mood to do this, I'll go to the test position, I'll go on the selector to the bit position, I'll press enter, and I'm going to go down to bit fault display, press enter, and there we go, no faults, all zeros on this block. And if I had any faults, if anything was detected wrong on any of my LRUs, line replaceable units, or just black boxes that control the different aircraft systems, as Chevy 6 calls on station, this is where I would go to figure out what it is. And there's one of my wingmen taxiing on down into parking. But yeah, everything is clear, so let's go ahead and exit that. And then I'll go to the status page. I'll just check for any MFLs. And you see my MFL maintenance fault log is empty down here. I'll go to the next page, and yeah, everything is in the green for status of all the systems. And then HUD day-night filter today, landing taxi lights as desired. I'll go ahead and actually should have done this. I kind of blinded the guys. I'll turn the landing lights off. It's kind of what you would want to do when pulling into a parking spot or into a D-arm area. Okay, CSMP mode. I already turned off the countermeasure system, windshield defog, DI switch, and pitot heat go off. Then position lights flash, anti-collision lights off, and then flaps full up. And seriously, did I really not do that before I cleared the runway? Okay, I meant to, but there we go. That's a lot better. Okay, I'll take that. Okay, so let me stow the checklist. We'll go ahead and taxi around to the Lola and shut her down. Okay, so chocks around. We're going to push the throttle on up, and yep, still got my nose wheel steering engaged. And then just take it around here to the right. And we're coming up on the first of the live load areas. This is the golf ramp, and you can see the revetments there set up to sort of protect adjacent aircraft in the event of something going wrong, an aircraft catching fire and munitions cooking off and detonating. So you have a bunch of high-speed fragments coming off a bomb that will be stopped by these barriers. And granted, still, you would lose a lot of aircraft and a lot of equipment and personnel, probably, in that case, just due to fire and just due to the blast effect, but it does at least keep adjacent aircraft from simultaneously detonating and just basically buys time for people to get out of there. These used to have sunshades. They collapsed several years ago, so you can imagine how hot it gets out here in the middle of the summer without those sunshades to provide some shading and some relief from the sun. They were so nice when they were there, but it was a microburst that came in with a big storm one day a few years ago, and it just hit the sunshades just right, and it was like a domino effect. Practically the entire structure just folded in on itself, damaged a couple of aircraft. Some F-16s were parked out here, and I believe some A-10s. But yeah, this is the primary live load area where you would go for live munitions loading. You can see the dirt berms right there on the other side of the parking spots, and those are just there to have the aircraft face into them if they do have forward firing munitions or loaded guns or loaded rockets. And then we have the bomber pad, and you can see the deflectors right there. Those are just for exhaust, so that bombers or heavy aircraft parked out here don't blow vehicles or equipment over that are behind them on the road or just in the same general area. And then we get to the other Lola. This is a very common spot to see A-10s parked. You can see the dirt berms out there again to provide a backstop for any gun ammo or any rockets or anything that could be fired into them. So this is where I'm going to take it. And we can see equipment pre-positioned up there and a couple of maintenance facilities for the guys to work out of and just to operate out of when they're out here. It's a long ways from the main base facility, so it's its own sort of a little self-contained area out here. So I'll take it out here to the left and park in this area. I'll just go on down to one of the spots down at the end. And this one right here looks like a good candidate. So we'll just nose it in right here. This area was redone, repaved a few years ago. I think it used to be a lot more narrow and a lot more of a pain to get aircraft in and out of here. But yeah, as you can see, there's plenty of room out here, and I have it pointed out there towards the dirt berm. And I think by default, if you're placing things out here with the mission editor, they're facing towards the base, which is just as well. It doesn't really matter for our purposes. And I guess from the aesthetics point of view, I mean, I would rather be facing that way just for the better view and a better look at everything else that is going on. Otherwise, you're just sitting here during the first parts of the mission staring at dirt, which wouldn't be ideal, I guess. So, okay, and since I guess I want to keep these first couple of missions short, since it's stuff that we've seen already, I'll just go through this on my own and pick things up with mission number 2. That should be kind of like it was in the F-15 campaign, a tour of the Nevada Test and Training Range. So we'll see if anything new comes up in that, and then press on into mission number 3. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.